Now we're going to quickly get back to Steve Cortes on the economy. I'm going to set one of his charts up real quick. The whole Wall Street shuffle, when you go as a newbie, naive person to give your money for your 401k or whatever, they say, well, put about half of it in stocks, half of it in bonds, and that's what they call asset allocation, right? The older you get, the more bonds you want usually, okay? But the idea is, the reason you do that is there's a natural hedging thing going on. Stock and bond prices usually go in opposite directions. So if the stock market's going down, you're going to make money on bonds, so that asset allocation works. In a stagflationary environment, however, where you've got simultaneous inflation and recession, stock prices are going to fall because of the recession, and bond prices are going to fall because as inflation rises, bond prices go down because they're inversely related. Now, Steve, are we in a stagflationary environment?
Right.
What does this instrument from BlackRock tell us?
Yes, we are 100% in a stagflationary environment. Again, that's not my opinion. That's what market prices tell us. And as I often preach, price is truth when it comes to the economy. So there's actually an ETF from BlackRock, a firm that I'm not a fan of, but they have some very successful ETFs out there, meaning an exchange traded fund. So in one ticker, you get a group of companies, or in this case, a group of companies and assets together. And that ticker is AOR. And look, I'm not advocating for or against this ETF. My point here in showing AOR, which is chart number 2, folks, if we can please pull that up, is that there is nowhere to hide right. Okay, so this is AOR for this year. For the folks who are watching the telecast, you can see that the trend is demonstrably.
Steve, to be clear, what's the asset allocation? How much stocks, how much bonds?
I'm sorry. Yes, good point. So this is a 60-40
Very
blend.
in the lead, brother.
So it goes for 60% stocks, 40% bond. And again, over time, just as you discussed, over time, the rationale there being that when you're having problems in stocks, your bonds are doing well, you're collecting interest rates on your bond side, you're hopefully collecting yields on the stock side. Over time, a 60-40 blend, and Wall Street is right for the most part, that over time, for most investors, this is a reasonable way to invest if you're not terribly risk tolerant. So the 60-40 blend is sort of the default position of investing for regular individuals in the markets right now. So, but if we look at the 60-40 blend as represented by ticker AOR, what we see right now is that year to date, there is nowhere to hide. In other words, you are getting pummeled in stocks, and at the exact same time, you are getting pummeled in bonds. And AOR.
And by the way, you just heard what the folks on CNBC, Fox Business never tell you about. Okay, I know you never hear this stuff. This is the best place for your financial news. Just saying. All right, Steve, we got just a minute and a half left. Tell us about two races that you want people to make sure we win. John
very
Gibbs
related,
in Michigan and J.D. Vance in Ohio. Go.
And very related to this inflation issue. So there's 2 candidates that I'm helping that I want to specifically advocate for because they're part of the solution to this inflation quagmire that we're in. One is J.D. Vance, who's running for Senate, of course, in Ohio, the Republican nominee. He's running against Tim Ryan, who is a lifelong politician and incumbent congressman in the House of Representatives, somebody who claims to be a populist when he's back in Ohio, but in Washington acts as a sewer creature and has voted for all of the inflationary madness that Biden has put in front of him. According to 538, which is a left-leaning website, he votes with Biden 100% of the time. So we have to put J.D. Vance in the Senate. On the House side, John Gibbs is an incredibly dynamic and persuasive young man. He already knocked off Peter Meyer, who was an impeachment rogue, a rhino Republican who needed to go and has been dispatched by John Gibbs. But he's in a tough race in West Michigan, Michigan 3. We've got to get him over the top in that tough House race. He will prevail, I believe, but it won't be an easy win.
Trump has endorsed both Gibbs and Vance, right? These are Trump-endorsed candidates. All right, that is the great Steve Cortes. I wish you were the Fed chair, sir. Maybe Treasury Secretary or in a new Trump administration, sir. You should be the National Economic Council Director. Cortes, we'll see you again.